Hello, everyone. Really big welcome to Joe Whitfield, who's the Chief Exec of Food of the CoOp. And I'm delighted that you're on today. And I've been asked to kind of interview you and to interject every now and again. So that's what I'm going to try and do. I'm going to just tell people a bit about your background. You joined the CoOp as Retail Finance Director in 2016. You were appointed CEO in 2017. And before that, you were actually at Asda for a long time, for about 8 years. And you had a number of leadership positions there. And you actually joined Asda by being what did you do at George? You were Finance Director at George.
I was Finance Director initially, yeah.
And you held the VP Operations role as well, and Strategy and International. So you've done lots and lots of things in food retail, but you've also done GE Capital, and you've also been at Matalan, and you're an ambassador of Girls Out Loud, a brilliant organisation, which I'm a member, and you're also a member of Women in Retail. So you've been in retail a long, long time. So let's just talk about that and COVID, because the first question always has to be about COVID, which is, as a retailer, on the one hand, you've seen the best of Britain, and in some cases, you've seen the worst. Just tell us a bit about how the CoOp has done and how you have led through COVID.
Okay, gosh. Well, it's one of those things that you never think you're going to have to live through in your career, actually. And we have seen, amazing things and really challenging things, as you rightly say. I think my biggest reflection was, at the start, how, it launched with panic buying and, a real concern in the general public. And I think what was phenomenal during that period was how our colleagues just lifted to the challenge. How they were recognised as key workers, rightly so, making arrangements locally with vulnerable customers that stores knew personally and looking after them, giving money, to Fair Share and food banks and all of the things that are truly co-op, and the way that it happened naturally. It didn't have to be a leadership moment where we said, let's do this. Actually, it was clear we would do it. Our people lifted and did it, and we encouraged them to keep doing more and more. But it has been a really tough period as a leader. It's drawn on skills and experiences that you've built over the years, but actually nothing could have prepared you for it either in many ways. So much of getting through these last few months has been about personal resilience and your own judgment and instinct, and using the people around you really well, and working together as a team.
I think that's right. I mean, I think that just like us, we were managing a crisis of kind of massive proportions, where you were at the other end of the scale because you had huge demand and you had constraints on supply, whereas our demand contracted dramatically, and advertising and production just came to freeze. And then we had to just manage all our people, and we had to manage our cash. So it became about looking after people and looking after cash. And it's interesting how it taps into very different skills and qualities in some ways of leadership, things that you're not required always to use, just as you've just said. I mean, you've got a very strong social purpose at the CoOp. Just talk to us a little bit about that, because that's in your DNA. But you've done a lot personally, a lot of work on that while you've been CEO. Talk to us a bit about that.
Yeah, I mean, it's at the heart of who we are. We were founded by a group of weavers to right a wrong in society, access to safe and affordable food. And that's where the cooperative movement started from. So we carry that with us every day, and we're conscious that we're always walking in the shoes of the pioneers, but in a modern context. And, the righting the wrongs in society and being an ethical retailer and doing what's right is absolutely foundational to who we are, because we want to give fabulous products at great prices and fabulous service, but we do it in a cooperative way, and that means those ethics and values are woven into everything we do, and it's in the culture of the business, and it's actually in our colleagues, in the sense of they want to work for us because it feels like the fit is right. They've got a reason to work for us because that's what they want to do and what they want to bring us difference. So yeah, you know, and there's so much that we've been able to do using COVID as a way of accelerating. So community has always been at the heart of what we've tried to really make a positive difference with. And, you know, the ability to step in and support vulnerable communities and make a stance on free school meals, get behind Marcus Rashford and his campaign. You know, this is all what the co-op's about. And it is, I think, what inspires us all to keep coming to work with fresh energy every day, and also what our members expect from us, because we are different. You know, we're not a retailer that's owned by shareholders. The people who shop with us own us, and they tell us that this is important to them, and ethics are important, and fair trade is important, and One Water is important, and all of the global things we do as well as the local things we do, and that's what makes it such a special place to lead, really.
Yes, so that's it's brilliant to hear all of those initiatives, and there are multiple initiatives you've been involved in that reinforce your purpose. You've been a director of finance a lot of your career, and it's always interesting what that investment tension is between you know, your kind of medium to long term brand strategy and your immediate return on investment requirements. I mean, how do you manage that? How do you lead on that?
Yeah, I know it's an interesting one, isn't it? Because you've been the person who's been the challenge individual, and now you're the person that wants to do the innovation and drive
money.
Things. Indeed, and I'm really good at that as well. And I think for me, it's about blend. You know, it's about the blend. It's about having known elements that are going to return, that are foundational, that give you the oxygen to do the brave things and the more inspirational pieces, and the things that are slightly more, you know, sparky and dynamic, that you've just got a hunch on and instinctively feel right for the brand. And I think if you can get the blend right, then actually you start to just build the momentum around knowing then what does pay off, and it just goes into the foundation, and then it just gives you the bravery to keep going, really, and the ROI proves itself.
So you're able to take more risk when you have a strong foundation of effectiveness.
Very much.
And what about marketing effectiveness? So when you think about the effectiveness of your communication and marketing strategies, what does the brief to your marketing, your CMO, look like?
Yeah, I mean, it's absolutely to shine Co-op difference through everything that we do, you know, to ensure that it's really clear that, you know, yes, we sell fabulous product, yes, we give great service, but it's the way that the Co-op does it that makes the difference. And so to always make sure that in every communication, in every campaign, that we bring to life the understanding of how we do it differently, you know, how a cooperative model is different. And the team do a great job of weaving a golden thread of community through it, and fair trade through it, and, you know, that kind of sustainability and ethical piece as well, because it's vital that we show that you can be a different business, you can have a different way of doing things and be really successful at the same time.
A sub question to that is, I get asked this all the time, which is how involved do I get in the marketing of ITV? You are, tell me, how do you get involved in that? I know you are, because obviously you and I have conversations about that. But.
We have. Yeah, I mean, it's a real passion, isn't it? I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's your conversation with your customer. So how can you not be close to it? You know, how can it not represent your brand and the things that you're proud of? And how can you, you know, not want to be sure that the conversation and the energy and the values are shining through in the way that you feel they should? So you have to be close. But equally, and you're exactly the same as me, you've got an amazing team around you, you know, who are the experts and who do the detail and who work all the creatives, and then, you know, you get to spend time with them so that they're clear on your thoughts and they can build with you in the room even when you're not. We've got great agencies as well, and I think the thing that I would say has really moved us forward in the last few years has been we've been so collaborative with our agencies. It's really become almost invisible who works for the Co-op and who works for the agency, and I think that's fabulous, you know, and actually they appear at events with us, and
I think our agencies would all volunteer to be on screen, actually. That's but you're right, that collaboration. I mean, you know, people have asked me quite a lot about the Ashley Banjo, you know, diversity, the dance, and how the ad came about, which turned around very quickly. And it was something I was involved in, as was Kevin Ligo, our director of programs. But that came from our internal marketing team and Uncommon, the leader of Uncommon, creative leader, who just kind of just created it very quickly. And it was very powerful. And I think if you're not close enough to that, you can't make those judgments easily. So your point about that partnership, it's so vital to be able to connect with your customers, your viewers, and actually your own people. I think
Indeed.
it's, you know, we haven't talked about that, but actually effective marketing and communication has to work internally as much as it does externally, doesn't it? Have you ever had a backlash on that, or a negativity about anything you've ever done on that?
We've had a couple of things where, you know, we've been brave and we've stood for things that we believe in, where, you know, occasionally we've had on social media rumbling. So we did a campaign last year, it was actually, where we used you know, the summer campaign as an opportunity to talk about our support for LGBTQ plus causes. And we had a wonderful lady who transitioned talk about, you know, our product, but how we were helping her community and how we'd kind of supported her journey. And, you know, it was something I was passionate about, that we actually did make it clear that we stand here for everyone. You know, we're here for everyone. And we did have some backlash, but what was wonderful was the public did the balance back. So actually we didn't need to get involved from a social media team and give lots of explanation. Actually, general public adjudicated on it and actually said, hang on a minute, you know, if you don't shop with them, great, because I'm going to shop with them 10 times more. And so it was interesting actually that, you know, sometimes you have got to be true to who you are.
Yeah.
And you know,
stand up and
you do.
Yeah, it's
yeah.
Yeah. And what do you see marketing and advertising's role in the recovery being? I mean, we all want the recovery to come, and the sooner the better in Britain. What do you see the role of marketing and advertising to be in that?
Gosh, you know, there's a big job for all of us, really, isn't there, in terms of encouraging people to help stimulate recovery. And so I do think there's two jobs. I think there's the commercial aspects of marketing to help stimulate consumer spend and help, you know, drive people back to the high street, to retailers, to other businesses, to consume products and services. But I also think there's a role to talk about the change that we need to see in society, you know, to start to really bring through, you know, the messages around people who are going to struggle and helping the vulnerable, and sustainability and the environment. So I think we've got to balance the messages which help us create a fairer society at the same time through our marketing and ad campaigns, so that it does become sticky behaviour. You know, the things that we've noticed and talked about through this period, that they live with us. And I think marketing and ad campaigns can help sustain that change if they're done well.
Yeah, what struck me in conversations with CEOs and CMOs is that people are very sensitive to consumers over this period, and they want to get their communication, particularly on telly, because they're talking to us about, you know, campaigns on TV, but they want to get that tone right, and they want to get the balance right. And many of them are talking about their values, about how they come across in advertising. And I think the blend of that with consumers will work and will help stimulate recovery, actually.
Yeah, okay. And I think people are going to want to trust brands in a different way, aren't they? They're going to be looking for different cues, actually, as to who to choose. And actually important that we all stand for, you know, who we genuinely are, because consumers work it out really quickly when you say you're one thing and you're patently not.
And you do something else, your actions don't reflect your brand.
Yeah.
So let's talk about innovation, because you've been incredibly innovative, actually, about a couple of your partnerships. I mean, I know of two. Glastonbury obviously is one, and then you've done another really interesting one, which is CoOp Live, which is that 15-year partnership deal with you, you know, in Manchester. Just talk to us about how you made those decisions and why you've done that.
Yeah, I mean, I think for us, it's about people seeing the co-op in a fresh light, really, because when I joined the co-op 4 years ago, I knew it because I'm a Northwest girl and it had been part of my family narrative, and I knew a bit about the history. But I've always been conscious that younger generations don't necessarily understand that we are the first cooperative, and there's loads of cooperatives around the world now, but this was the first one, and actually it is a different way of doing business. So I wanted to reach different individuals in different spaces, get closer to where they are, not just this point around we're a shop, but actually get to an experiential place with them so that we could have a conversation about the co-op. And so it was about reaching out to new audiences, but it was also to reinforce the message that we're all about community. And at points, your community with a partnership like Part Run is about the runners that you're with in a shared experience. At other times, it's a community because it's Coronation Street, which is the most famous community in the UK, we know. And then at other points, it's a community that's a festival community for a weekend. And actually, we are part of those experiences in different ways. And it just shows what our business is about. And we can talk about, our positions on quality and fair trade and ethics and sustainability in a totally different construct to trying to do it through, the normal channels. So it's about helping people reappraise us and actually is connecting with them, at a moment in time that's really relevant to them.
Well, we wish you really well with both of those. Let's hope Glastonbury is actually on.
Oh, I hope so.
Yeah, it would be amazing to see that back. And of course, the arena, we want that to be full every day of the week, really. So really wish you well on that. Talk about now as dealing with all of this. What is the single biggest learning that you feel you have got as a leader from the last 6-7 months, and also what is the co-op going to change about how they operate going forward as a result of how you've worked over COVID?
Yeah, gosh, there's been so many learnings, positive and negative. There's been times when it's been completely overwhelming, so much, to do at speed because we wanted to feed the nation. We knew we needed to replan our business and we're excited about the future. So at times, just keeping morale high amongst the team and dealing with everything that was coming towards you was really difficult. But I think the thing that I'm taking from it is just how when you trust and when you empower, how much more you can achieve together. And I've always been someone who's believed in trust and empowerment, but it went up several levels during this period just because of the volume of what was needed. But it was interesting because our chairman, Alan Leighton, shared something with us and it really resonated for me. And he shared that he'd read that the kind of things that gets you through situations like this is to do 3 things. And it's to be brave, to be resilient, and to be kind. And I've lived that mantra right the way through these 6 months. And it's certainly the thing that I'm taking forwards with me, because there's been plenty of times when we've needed to be brave, lots more times where we've needed to be resilient. And then throughout, just made sure we're kind, because we've got to get each other through it and do it together. So I think that's the biggest learning, personally and for the co-op, that, we kind of put our arms around each other and do it together.
That's wonderful. I think that's a brilliant place to end. Actually, Jo, you've been a brilliant person to talk to. I've really enjoyed it, and I've learned more about the co-op. Actually, it's an amazing organisation. So we wish you really well, and thank you very much for coming on the IPA. I think we're actually kicking off the conference. So, thank you so much. And that's it for now.
Wonderful. I hope it's fantastic. Thank you.